Happy Tuesday, Razorback fans. 4 days until Arkansas versus Mississippi State in Starkville, Mississippi, Davis Wade Stadium, 11 a.m. kickoff. SEC Nation's going to be there. Third time in 6 weeks that SEC Nation will be at an Arkansas game. A lot to get to today on the Gridiron Hogs podcast, as usual. I'm Mason Choate. I'm joined by Robert Stewart. We're part of HawgBeat.com, and this podcast is part of the HawgBeat Podcast Network. Visit HawgBeat.com. It's HawgBeat.com, covering the Arkansas Razorbacks for Rivals. A lot of good stuff over there. We had plenty of content yesterday, especially surrounding the KJ Jefferson situation at quarterback, a story about what Sam Pittman said about the Arkansas defensive struggles this year. Kickoff time announced for Arkansas at BYU, not this weekend, but next weekend, October 15th. It's going to be 2:30 p.m. Central Time on ABC or ESPN. That is to be determined, but I think that's a good time slot for Arkansas BYU, Robert. And of course, you're getting the good TV treatment with, you're either on ABC, which is a big time game, or you're on ESPN, and either way, you're in front of a very big national audience. You happy about that?
Yeah, I think I like the time slot, like you said, not too early, not too late, and it's ESPN or ABC. A bunch of people are going to tune in.
Yep. Also, Arkansas released their depth chart yesterday. It's the first time in a while that there were like significant changes to the depth chart. Fans found out, I guess, I don't know if saying the hard way is the right way to say it, but excuse me, they found out on Saturday that the depth chart is meaningless, which is something that we knew. But they officially changed it. Cade Fortin is the backup quarterback. Malik Hornsby, the third team quarterback. Another big change, but of course it's not the quarterback position. Landon Jackson is now starting at defensive end on the depth chart because Jashad Stewart has not played the past 3 games, I think. So Sam Pittman said he hasn't been healthy, but they're hoping he can get healthy, to be determined. A lot of things to be determined, Robert. A lot of wait and sees with this team right now. And the big wait and see is with KJ Jefferson. So as a lot of people know, KJ Jefferson, he suffered a hit in the fourth quarter where his head hit the ground. He came out for a play. This was against Alabama on Saturday. Came out for a play, and Cade Fortin came in. And a lot of people expected it to be Malik Hornsby. We kind of talked about it yesterday, how not super surprising that it was Cade Fortin, just based off of what we've heard from coaches, what we've seen at practice. And then, of course, Sam Pittman said after the game that decision has been made for a while now, that Cade Fortin is the second team quarterback. So he came in for a play. KJ Jefferson comes back out the next play, throws an incompletion. Cam Little kicks a field goal. And then for the rest of the game, it was almost 7 minutes. Cade Fortin was the quarterback on the next 2 drives for Arkansas. So yesterday, Sam Pittman, of course, you knew he was going to be asked about KJ Jefferson, and this is what he said. Well, he has some mild symptoms. Those are things that our doctors look at. Each kid is a little bit different with how they react. We've had guys back within 3 to 4 days. We've had guys out for 27 days. He's kind of a wait and see, to be honest with you. Later on, he was asked, so KJ's in concussion protocol. And Sam Pittman said, I didn't say that. So that's really where we're at with KJ Jefferson. It's a wait and see. According to Pittman, the cutoff day is Wednesday. If KJ isn't feeling up to it by Wednesday, that's according to Sam Pittman. He's not going to play on Saturday if he's not good by Wednesday. Now, you think maybe, Robert, if KJ shows up on Thursday and it's like, hey, I'm feeling good, I can play on Saturday, they would probably let him play. I mean, it's your starting quarterback is KJ Jefferson. What do you think?
I mean, you would think if there's one player they would make an exception to that rule for, it's KJ Jefferson. Um, but I mean, going back to what he said here, I mean, by the way, shout out to Tom Murphy for following up and asking explicitly if he was in concussion protocol. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing I don't understand. If you're going to use the word symptoms, what other injury could you be talking about? You know?
Yeah, I mean, he said he has mild symptoms. He did say, and Robert, you weren't in the Sam Pittman press conference. You were over there with Nick Saban after the game. Sam Pittman did say that he had a head injury and they didn't really know where he was at after the game on Saturday. So I think we all knew that it was a head injury, meaning probably concussion. So when he says mild symptoms, that would have to do with that head injury. So um, that's kind of where we're at. It's really just sometimes when Sam Pittman says, wait and see, blah blah blah. Like we know that when it comes to injuries in Sam Pittman, it's really really hit or miss. You don't know exactly what to make of it. With this one, I think it is truly wait and see, especially with what is likely a concussion for KJ Jefferson. You don't know how long he's going to be out. Pittman said it himself. It could be 3 to 4 days. It could be 27 days. We don't know the severity of it. What we do know is that Arkansas has two backup quarterbacks that they, I think, would be okay with playing. Cade Fortin is the number 2 guy, but you would have to think on Saturday, if KJ Jefferson is not good to go, Cade Fortin will not play the whole game, as Arkansas starter, and we just won't see Malik Hornsby. I feel like you'd have to, at that point, mix in Malik Hornsby, don't you think, Robert?
I mean, as much glowing, I guess, speech as we heard from Sam Pittman about Malik Hornsby on Monday, and the fact that he would rather see him play quarterback than wide receiver, I don't I don't understand how Hornsby doesn't factor into the mix if they're running with, their two backups. I I think that it's well documented that they're confident in Cade Fortin, but I mean, it seems like he feels good about Hornsby too. I don't know. Like there are so many players that he talks positively about. Like Tykees Crawford comes to mind, right? Like this is the first time we brought him up in forever, but like he has nothing but good things to say about Tykees Crawford, and we haven't seen him the whole year. So I really don't know what to think based on what Pittman says.
Yeah. Um, Basically what he was asked yesterday was what does Malik Hornsby do with this team? What is his role? He said he's a quarterback. Certainly the plan for him to play wide receiver has not been even what Sam Pittman thought it would be, but the plan is for Malik Hornsby to play quarterback. So let's run through some stats of these guys, Malik Hornsby and Cade Fortin. We'll start with Hornsby, he's in his 3rd season with Arkansas, and he's only thrown 12 passes during his time here at Arkansas. All 12 of those came last season. He completed 5 of them for 46 yards. And so that's the rundown on Malik Hornsby. We know he can run the ball. We know he's a very talented runner. He had 24 carries for 136 yards and a touchdown last year. He's got 3 for 21 this year. He's caught 2 passes as a receiver this year for 8 yards. So that's all Malik Hornsby has done. He's thrown 12 passes as a quarterback on the collegiate level. Cade Fortin, some might not be as familiar with him. He's a transfer in from South Florida. He started his career at North Carolina, started 2 games as a true freshman, completed 49.2% of his passes, 388 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Spent 2 seasons at South Florida. He started 2 games last season for South Florida, completed 52.1% of his passes for 183 yards and 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So that's those are the stats you're looking at. A lot of people know about the athleticism of Malik Hornsby. We heard from Pittman that, Cade Fortin can run the ball too. We saw that a little bit on Saturday. He did have a 9-yard run, I think. He looked pretty quick against an Alabama defense. So uh, these are 2 different quarterbacks. I think from what we've gotten is Cade Fortin is a more talented passer. As far as who can run the offense better, I'm going to assume it's Cade Fortin because he's the number 2 quarterback, which is interesting because, as I mentioned earlier, Malik Hornsby is in his 3rd year with this offense. You would think that he might have it down by now. I don't know how much moving to receiver has affected him, but we heard during fall camp that he was spending all of his time during film, during practice for the most part with the quarterbacks. He didn't really do much with the receivers aside from he would step over with them and run some routes every once in a while. So I don't know. It's all speculation at this point, Robert, because KJ could still play on Saturday. That's the tough thing, is that it is wait and see. But you have to prepare for that situation, and we know at practice yesterday, which a lot of people are curious about, Cade Fortin and Malik Hornsby and Rykar Acebo and Cade Renfro were the quarterbacks going through individual drills. And the media was asked not to report on KJ Jefferson's availability at Monday's practice as a condition of maintaining viewing portions of practice. So, how do you feel, Robert? You think somebody asked me this question today, how do you think Fortin would do if he started against Mississippi State? You think Arkansas would have a chance? He would have to play out of his mind, all that. Realistically, even if KJ Jefferson was starting at quarterback, this defense would still have to stop Mississippi State, and I don't know how possible that is.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this with somebody last night. Those games between Arkansas and Mississippi State and Starkville don't tend to go well. You make an exception for 2020. Sam Pittman won that game. It was his first win at Arkansas. It was a big deal. It was first year Mike Leach and first year Will Rogers. Guess what? Both of those dudes are in year 3 now. Sam Pittman was not shy about bringing that up yesterday. Um, I mean, that's tough to contend with. An air raid quarterback under an air raid head coach in year 3, like, good luck. When your defense is as poor as it is right now, your pass defense, I mean, we may see another 49 on the board this week.
Yeah, I wrote about that. I wrote about what Sam Pittman said about his defense because, he was asked about it, as he should be. This defense has been abysmal. It's been awful. I don't think that that's an overreaction at all. I can read out some stats to you right now. Actually, I got to pull up the story, but as soon as I get the story pulled up, then I can read the stats out to you. Okay. This is how Arkansas's defense ranks out of 131 FBS teams. They're 112th in total defense, which is total yards per game. They're 100th in scoring defense. They're 112th in yards allowed per play. They're 124th in passing yards allowed, 71st in rushing yards allowed, 108th in third down conversion percentage for opposing offenses. They're tied for 80th in red zone defense, which is the percentage of touchdowns that opponents score in the red zone. And they're number 2 in the country for team sacks. Cincinnati took over the number 1 spot, ironically enough. So the defense has been horrible. So realistically, Robert, as much as we sit here and talk about the quarterbacks as we did on this episode, and we're about to wrap up, does it, even if, as I mentioned, even if KJ's there, like how realistic is it that even with KJ as a quarterback, which is still very possible, that Arkansas could outscore Mississippi State, because your defense just isn't going to stop them. It's just, can they bend but not break enough that your offense can score a little bit more points,
I mean, I think Arkansas with KJ Jefferson, of course, has a prolific enough offense to hang with Mississippi State. But I mean, if Jefferson's not leading it, you can pretty much write this one off.
Yeah, unless Cade Fortin and or Malik Hornsby just play incredibly, which is
I'll
it's
see it when I
possible.
believe it.
Yeah,
I'll believe it
right.
when I see it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where we're at with the quarterback situation. We're gonna go to practice on Tuesday, see what's going on. It'll likely just be another situation of the media cannot report on KJ Jefferson's availability of practice because we want to maintain our viewing privileges of practice, blah blah blah. So it's a tough situation for the team. You don't want to be in this situation if you're Arkansas, but you are, and you got to deal with it, and we'll see how it goes. All right, before we get out of here, I want to remind you about myperfectfranchise.net. Andy Luedecke, helping people who are corporate executives and wanting to put their career in their own hands. He wants to help you. So he's a longtime Rivals member and a franchise veteran. He's owned multiple franchises and businesses. He uses that expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. Call Andy, put your life and career in your own hands. It's 100% free to purchase your own franchise. literally be a franchise owner. They'll help set you up with one that fits you. They'll help you out, and then you can build yourself financially. Give them a call, 404-973-9901, or visit myperfectfranchise.net. All right. That's going to do it for myself, Mason Choate, and Robert Stewart here on the Gridiron Hogs podcast. Talk to everybody on Wednesday.